Vous aussi bien. Capo Chawale, Capo for Chawale, Capo for Chawale. Moma kiala no mote sawa. Oh, alo kiala mbe. Oh, kiala. Alo motia mana mama ngwe chakya mana yongya. Moko su chakya mana yongya. Oh, alo kiala. Moma kiala no mote sawa. Oh, alo kiala.
Good evening to you, fellow AMBAZONIANs. Good evening to you, our brave, courageous, and loving people. Let us start with some very important information from the office of the leader. 1. Operation Pinesard was executed last night at about 1 a.m. when a joint force of the Ambazonia Defense Forces Bamenda Brigade and a sister force assaulted a B patrol unit along the Ntarikon stretch. Many enemy forces suspected wounded or killed as the vehicle is currently parked behind the hospital. The assault on enemy targets will intensify. We will notify the UN Genocide Early Alert System on our fear of how Cameroon will act when the collapse seems inevitable. Following several humiliating setbacks, Cameroon thugs have exacted revenge attacks on Ambazonian civilians. These are disturbing trends that we must bring to the attention of the international community. 2. Our forces in the state of Momo have breached the Ambo military barracks of the Bulu barbarians. There have been several casualties on the side of the enemy. Our forces in the state of Donga have also launched an attack against enemy forces. We want to salute the bravery of Ambazonian forces across the territory as they intensify the actions, the liberation actions and resistance actions against Cameroon's Bulu barbarians. The first message I would like to send out is to Ambazonian forces in the state of Manu. Over the weekend, you showed the Ambazonian people what patriotism is. You showed the Ambazonian people what dedication is. You showed the Ambazonian people what bravery is. What you have done for the re-emergence of the resistance in Manu, it's a demonstration to the Ambazonian people, to colonial CPDM elites, and to Cameroon. Never underestimate Ambazonia, and never underestimate the resolve on the Ambazonian people to be free. What the forces of Manu must understand is this: you cannot sustain yourselves through goodwill donations. You cannot survive depending on how good people feel to support you. Your survival, your ability to arm yourselves, your ability to sustain yourselves, your ability to increase your capacity and expand your outreach depend on structured mechanisms for funding the forces. Between 2019 and 2021, I personally coordinated the funding of the forces in Manu. During this period, there was no kidnapping for ransom in Manu. The forces received consistent funding, consistent supplies, and consistent care, and a proactive leadership until spoilers came in and Manu collapsed. Until spoilers came in and the infiltration began. Until spoilers came in and the chaos began. Until spoilers came in and the forces in Manu were almost completely destroyed. What forces during a liberation struggle need? It's leadership, a structure with a political vision, command and control, rules of engagement, a code of conduct that guides the actions and behavior of the forces, that defines their mission, their purpose, and consistently provide them with the necessary education, with the constant inspiration and encouragement and care. That's what you need. The Ambazonia Governing Council has introduced the Liberation Tax to help Ambazonian forces across the territory to have consistent supplies and consistent means to increase and expand their capacity. The Liberation Tax is a structured political and financial system that gives the forces access to what they need, access to consistent funding. Goodwill contribution is not a strategy that can sustain forces even for 2 weeks. I call on the commanders and forces in Manu to adopt the Liberation Tax for their own survival, not for the ache of sea. Adopt it and customize it to work in your block. All citizens in the state of Manu are obligated to pay their Liberation Tax. You, as the fighting forces, you are the authority on the ground to implement Ambazonian Liberation Tax. Collect the Liberation Tax so that there is no undue pressure or harassment on our population. It's a legal and political structure that gives you the authority and the power as the authority on the ground to collect the Liberation Tax. 5,000 per year for our women and 10,000 per year for our men. Think about the population of Manu and how all these funds can help these forces and these commanders to rearm themselves. We can intensify and expand the outreach of these forces and chase out the enemy out of our communities, out of our villages, and out of the state of Manu. So the Ambazonia Governing Council is here to provide the leadership. We also call on those that are currently coordinating these forces, those that are helping these forces, that we can work together to help them help the forces implement the Liberation Tax, and all the benefits of the Liberation Tax goes directly to the forces. Our goal as a political leadership for the liberation is to help the forces implement Ambazonian laws so that will be a better relationship between the forces and the civilian population. In the next 7 days, the Cameroon occupation system, the Bulu Beti occupiers, the Bulu barbarians will do another attempt to tell the world that they can celebrate the colonial 20th May in the Ambazonian territory. 20th May is banned. There will be a lockdown that also coincides with a ghost town. So now you have a lockdown and a ghost town. The 19th of May, the lockdown starts on the 19th of May. And on the 20th of May, the colonial day, happens to be on Monday, which is a ghost town. So you have the lockdown is 2 days. The lockdown from the 19th, it extends to the 20th, which also coincides to be a lockdown. So now you have a lockdown and the ghost town combined. All right. Here is what is expected of all Ambazonians. Stay indoors. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, whether you are of the colonial CPDM elites, whether you are a CPDM, you're a member of the CPDM, man or woman, stay at home. It will be bloody on that day. To all parents, save the lives of your children. The Ambazonian Governing Council has invested millions of CFA in the productions of IED to disrupt, to stop, and to bury 20th May. Stay at home. The Ambazonia Governing Council has distributed massive amounts of IEDs to all Ambazonian forces across the territory. Stay at home. The 19th and the 20th will be bloody for Cameroon and anyone who wants to go out and celebrate Cameroon's genocide on our people. Stay at home. And to all our forces, you are the authority on the ground. Enforce the ghost town. Enforce the ghost town. And enforce the lockdown. If you are an Ambazonian nationalist fighting force and you don't have the means to enforce the lockdown and the ghost town in your block, or the means to disrupt, to stop, and to bury 20th May in your block, contact the Ambazonia Governing Council for all you need. We believe it is time to shift the battleground. We believe it is time to shift the battleground. It is time to shift the battleground from Ambazonia to Cameroon. What we are looking at now, what we are considering now going forward, is shifting the battleground, taking the war from fighting in Ambazonia and shifting the battleground to fighting inside Cameroon. What we are looking at now and what we are considering now going forward is shifting the battleground from fighting inside Ambazonia to fighting inside Cameroon. It is time to fight Cameroon inside Cameroon. We must shift the pain. We must transfer the pain from Ambazonia to Cameroon. We must transfer and shift the death from Ambazonia to Cameroon. We must transfer and shift the chaos from Ambazonia to Cameroon. We must shift and transfer the destruction from Ambazonia to Cameroon. Cameroon's unwillingness to commit to an international negotiation to bring the conflict to an end, and Cameroon's refusal to accept the right of Ambazonia to exist. And they are insistent to massacre all Ambazonians, has led us with no other choice than to shift the battlefield and the battleground to Cameroon. If Cameroon insists that Ambazonia will not exist, so too will Cameroon not exist. If you question our existence, your own existence will be questioned. If you threaten the existence of Ambazonians, the existence of Cameroonians and Cameroon would be threatened. Ambazonia has the right to exist. Anything and anyone that threaten the existence of the Ambazonian people and the existence of the Ambazonian states has threatened itself. If Cameroon insists on occupying Ambazonia, Cameroon itself will not exist. If Cameroon insists in the destruction of Ambazonia, Cameroon has signed the destruction of Cameroon itself. It's time we shift the battleground, the battlefield from Ambazonia to Cameroon. It's time we shift the pain from Ambazonia to Cameroon. It's time we shift the suffering from Ambazonia to Cameroon. It's time we shift the chaos from Ambazonia to Cameroon. It's time we shift the destruction from Ambazonia to Cameroon. Anyone that threatens the existence of the Ambazonian people, their own existence will be threatened as well. I'm Lucas Asu, the spokesman of Ambazonia Governing Council.
Welcome to ACN.